we have Ivana Istochka, who is Amity's VP of Community and Demand Generation, a tech company that enables anyone to transform their apps or websites into digital communities with ready-to-use features. They power the communities of over 100 global brands like Harley-Davidson, Ferrari, Noom, the World Economic Forum. Let's go. Most notably, Ivana oversaw the e-wallet expansion for Thailand's first and leading fintech unicorn, True Money. These days, you can find her somewhere in Europe or catch her on the Community Revolution podcast, where she hosts guests from all around the world. In a talk sponsored by Better Mode, Ivana will be speaking on proving in-app community ROI. Ivana, when you are here,
Hi,
take
everyone.
it away.
Hey, Victoria. Can you guys hear me? All right, fantastic. Let me just share my screen very quickly. All right.
Beautiful. We can see it.
Awesome. Hi, everyone. And thanks so much, Victoria, for the energetic and lovely intro. I really appreciate it. So as Victoria mentioned, my name is Ivana, and I'm currently the VP of Community and Demand Generation at a company called Amity. And I'm also one of the founding team members. And what we do is we help companies transform their own apps and websites into digital communities. So basically, we help companies build in-app communities, which is why today I decided to share a topic that's really dear to my heart, and I think it's very important to talk about nowadays, in times of recession. As we know, communities are amazing, but they're a long-term investment. And oftentimes, if we are not able to share quickly and clearly the return of investment of them to our company and management and external stakeholders, especially in times of recession, they get cut. So I think it's very important that we have more data and better data, and just help make more communities happen. So today I will share my insights and learnings from working alongside Amity's clients on how to prove their return of investment. Now, let me start by asking you a question. What was the last app you opened? I bet it was social. For most of us, majority of our screen time is dominated by the few social media giants. But even if we are not using social media, a trend that has been happening in the past couple of years is that a lot of companies started to socialize their app and make them more community centric. And here you can think of many examples. For example, think of Spotify. It's an app that a lot of us are using to listen to music. If you look at Spotify, you can listen to music together with your friends. Now you can leave comments. You can, discuss with creators in the podcast space. So Spotify is also building their community. Think of apps, that are about fitness and wellness. For example, Freeletics is relatively popular up here in Europe. Not only that you get to view classes and exercise, but you also get to connect with others that are exercising. And I can give you a lot more examples, right? And the thing is that companies across all industries have been transforming their apps into communities. And it is no longer a secret. The best version of every app is community-led. And as I mentioned, the use cases are many. Whether you're Harley Davidson and you're a motorbike manufacturer, and you want to create a community of motorbike enthusiasts that get to share their rides with others, get to connect and talk about their passions, or whether you're a company like Noom that is a health and wellness company and you want to help people that are on their dieting journey to connect with others and be more likely to succeed at their goals by being part of this thriving community, getting access to advice from coaches and from other members. The opportunities are really, really limitless. And this is really exciting because communities are finally being recognized as a powerful growth engine, and they're really becoming this essential pillar of the most of the successful apps. Why is that? Now, first of all, if you have a community, people get to use your app more. So that means that things like engagement increase. People get to come back to it more often. So that means that retention rates can increase and people get to spend your app longer term. Your app also looks different than others. It's not only an app where people come to do a thing, but it's an app where people come to connect and build relationship. Boom, you have differentiation. trust grows, and of course, the more you use and love an app, the more you get to tell your friends about it. So, organic growth also increases. So some of the key metrics that we've seen alongside working with different clients worldwide is we've seen stuff like companies can help increase their user retention by up to 40% by adding a community element to their app. They get to triple the daily active usage of their platforms. They get to double the average revenue per user, which is of course very important for every company. They get to improve the user experience by 4 times, increase user engagement by 35%, organic user acquisition by 30%, and the list goes on. Of course, these metrics are very different for every company because these metrics will depend on how many monthly active users you already have, for how long your app has been present on the market. So this can wildly differ. But just to put things into perspective, have in mind that the average retention rate of a mobile app is 13%. So that means that out of, let's use here simple numbers, out of $100 that a marketing team would invest in a month, 87% of those dollars will go to waste because these users, next month, because these users will no longer keep coming back to the app, and only 13% of them will keep using the app in month 2. So of course, percentage such as 40% and so on, it can be way higher. Can make this way higher. All right. Let's get to business. So if I could prove the ROI better, that would be great. So this is something that a lot of us are struggling to prove. So I would love to guide you through the process that we do with every single company that we work with. Number one, something that's very important is to align the community to the company objectives. That means that if you're building a community that is achieving your business needs, but of course it doesn't bring value to anyone, and people think that, it's really boring or it doesn't bring them any value, this will not succeed. But also, if you're building a community that's amazing for your user but doesn't bring any value to your business overall, it would get cut from your investment. So of course, it's very important to align this to seem simple, but trust me, it's one of the most common mistakes that I have seen in most of the communities that we work with. Step number 2 is define very clear objectives that you want to have for your community. There are different ways in which you can define these objectives. One of the ways that a lot of us, I'm sure, know is the David Spin-6 model, which is spaces. So you can see whether the community can contribute to your support, meaning improving customer satisfaction, to your product, meaning gaining new insights or ideas from your customer, acquisition, meaning gaining new users, contribution, meaning that are people collaborating more across the platforms, hence having user-generated content, engagement in terms of improving users' loyalty and retention rates, and success, meaning empower users to become more active. Or sometimes for some companies, it can be pretty straightforward in terms of, hey, I want to increase these app metrics, I want to drive sales, I want to drive new revenues, I want to have more data on my customers. Step 3 is identifying these key metrics to measure. So these key metrics, usually we measure on 3 levels. We measure on the community level, on the function level, and on the business level. On the community level, of course, we are looking at the metrics for the community itself. However, these metrics are not always relevant to other departments, meaning that once you build a community inside a mobile app, there are a lot of departments that are being involved. You have the product team involved, you have the technical team involved, you have the sales team involved, the customer success, and so on. So it's very important to sit down and in line with each one of them, what are the metrics that are important for their function in order for this to become successful. And last but not the least, it's on the business level. So we can come to our management and tell them, hey, it's amazing. I managed to boost, engagement in the community by 150% in 30 days. But as long as we can't clearly clarify what kind of value it brings to the overall business, that might still not be enough. Okay, let's go in more details. So first, I would love to go on the community level. Given that all of us are, community professionals in different stages of our career, I'm sure that most of us are aware of these community metrics. I will not go into too many details, but the idea is that first, it's very important to identify your community lifecycle phase, meaning that is your community pre-product market fit? Are you already an established community? Are you in the growth stage, or are you at maturity level? Depending on this, you will measure different distinct metrics, such as number of users, the lurkers, meaning people who are viewing content but they're not actively contributing. By the way, this has been one of the most important people according to our data with the clients that we work with, even if it's not very self-intuitive. Transacting users, time spent in the community, retention, and so on. And for some of these companies, for some of these metrics, it might take a couple of months to prove. For example, you can't really successfully prove retention within days. It takes a couple of months to fully understand some of these metrics. So yes, it's very important to be able to track all of the metrics that are important at a specific growth stage. Next, let's go to the function level. This, I think, is very important to talk about because as community professionals, we are really used to looking at the metrics that are beneficial for our community, but it's very important if you're building a community inside your app to also understand these metrics and align with your colleagues. The product metrics are the most important, in my opinion, here, because at the end of the day, you're running the community in the app, so that has to bring benefits to the product team building the app. So they're mostly looking at metrics such as feature adoption, which means that, of course, this is how many people are adopting certain features so that they can decide what are the functionalities that they need to build in order to make your community more engaged. They're looking at the overall app engagement levels, overall app retention levels, daily active usage, monthly active usage, and so on. The marketing team is also very important because they might be looking at the engagement. Of course, engagement is important for everyone from different perspectives. They might be looking at new user-generated content because this is an amazing way, the community is an amazing way to scale content creation without having very resource-intensive marketing initiatives. The Net Promoter Score, meaning the satisfaction levels of your users, and so on. And on the support side, a lot of communities, by the way, that are built in up have been traditionally used for support, but nowadays they're increasingly less. For example, from 100 plus clients that we work with, majority of them don't really have the support function, but this is still important for some of the communities that are built on support. So you can be looking at things like support cost savings, reduced number of support tickets, customer churn, and so on. All right, so sometimes these metrics can get a little bit complicated. I wanted to go in details, but I don't want to, overwhelm people with too many formulas here. But it's very important when you sit down to have very clear and accurate way to track these metrics. Lastly, it's of course on the business level. So it's very important to align the community goal and the function goal to the overall company goals. So sometimes it can also be acquisition, engagement, retention, or sometimes it can be revenues. But it's very important is to remember that community is a long-term investment. But so it's always important to have a short-term goal in place because we cannot tell our business that, hey, we'll prove to you something in 1 year from now, 2 years from now. So I always recommend everyone that we work with to sit down, and I do this myself, to sit down and have short-term goals that we can still keep a pulse on as we are growing. And if the short-term goals don't yet justify the community investment, please consider introducing direct monetization. I know that this is not a very popular topic for community professionals, but this is very important because if your business needs you to generate revenues immediately, and you can't immediately generate revenues through a community, you can say, hey, no worries, let's figure out other ways in which we can generate revenues while we are still building a thriving and nice community and we provide value to everyone. And this can be through ads, subscriptions, sponsored content, commerce, and this doesn't have to be intrusive. It can be something that's relevant for your users and brings value to others. Here are a few examples. For example, these are real examples, by the way, from our clients. So one of the clients that we work with have seen that after 3 months, a user that has joined the community 3 months ago has 36% retention rate compared to a user that hasn't joined the community, meaning users that have used the community are 100 times plus more likely to keep using the app. Or for example, we have clients that managed to generate $900,000 in advertising revenue, selling something that's useful for their community by creating brand partnerships and so on. And we had some clients prove that their valuation increased after having introduced the community. And last but not the least, it's launch and grow, meaning that once you've identified the key metrics, track, both quantitative and qualitative data, have the right tracking tools in place, communicate very often, iterate and adjust. And iterate and adjust, I cannot mention this more because it's very important. And at the end, remember that community is a long-term investment and commitment. So please make sure to prioritize quick wins and offer immediate value. And last but not the least, of course, we are all community professionals, and for one of the best return of our investment is the amazing time, amazing memories, and amazing experiences that we get to build for our community and with our community. That's, of course, it's important to keep this in mind and keep having fun while you're doing all of this and building your community. And I know that justifying ROI sometimes can seem, very hard, boring, and not the most interesting activity to do, but it's very important to do it. And when you feel a bit drained from doing it, you can always tap into the things that bring you joy. And so if you want to join us on this community revolution, I put some QR codes here that you can also find on my LinkedIn. And, I run a podcast and I love featuring community professionals. If you want to be featured, please contact me. We have a newsletter and we also upload a lot of free community resources. And I would love to learn from all of you and build as many relationships as possible throughout this summit. And yeah, let's please keep in touch. And I thank you a lot for your time. I wanted to leave some minutes for questions. So yeah, that we can talk about some things that are relevant for you. I don't know how much time we have because we started a bit in advance, but yeah, please let me know. I cannot see the questions while I'm presenting, so I'll just stop presenting right now.
Ivana, can you hear me? Hi.
Yes.
Perfect.
Hi, Victoria.
Thank you so much for that presentation. We do have a question and we have until the 10 minutes past. So what are the top, well, let's see, for a closed community, what are the most important 3 metrics?
For a closed community?
Yeah.
Honestly, this is a trick question because it really depends on what, it's very hard to answer because it depends on what type of business you are in, right? And what is your business model. So for example, if your app is already offering a subscription-based model for anything, and then you launch a community that is just an additional asset for the users of your app, but it's not really a closed community, it's a community for your users anyways, that's a little bit different, right? So then, of course, again, I will guide you through these 3 steps, meaning what is important for your business, what you need to prove. If in comparison, for example, you have a closed community, meaning anyone can use your app, but only paid members can use your community, then that's a little bit different as well. Because in the second case, probably you've launched the community in order to, I don't know, do you want to have new revenue streams? Do you want to justify the value of your community to your management so that they can make it free for everyone? So I find it a bit challenging to answer this question without fully understanding the business. But look, if you want to chat, reach out to me on LinkedIn and tell me more about your community, and I would love to share more. But yes.
Thank you. We have one more question.
Right.
What is a landmark or a pillar that you look toward that says, okay, this community can now be monetized? So I believe that a community can be monetized from day one. And I give you an example. We worked with a media company, and this media company built in Thailand called True ID, and they built a super cool community for people that are really into music and entertainment and sports. And this is, since it's the most used app in Thailand for this stuff, people joined the community. In Thailand, people are very social, by the way. They started, interacting all of a sudden. And then the company realized, all right, what do people talk about the most in the app? Surprisingly, people love talking about 7-Eleven, which is a retail chain, super random. But the company partnered with 7-Eleven, and they invited 7-Eleven to actually come to their community and have a paid community group on their platform, meaning they monetized it from like month 1. And this brand paid for access to their community because they already had a large enough user base. It was very easy sell to the brand. Second of all, they started to offer ads because they realized that, hey, there are people who are passionate about, sports, fitness. We can start having ads that are in relation to sport clothing. In this way, we are not, showing different random ads that people are really scared or shocked that but we are actually offering something to them that they might be looking. By the way, my Instagram ads are super tailored. So, if anyone managed to sell me stuff that I want, no problem. And they managed to offer it from day one without, having a trouble. But, for some communities, it's different. If you're a very small community and it's very hard for you to prove the value of your community to partners, It might be a bit harder to find partners from day one. And if you have a community where you're not sure what is the members' needs or preference, then sending them random ads might also be a bit damaging to the brand. So I would say that
I would take this into consideration. Average size, whether you have already close relationship with your users, and whether you know the user's preferences well enough.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ivana. That was super helpful, and so much for your time and your energy and how much
Thank
work
you.
and effort you put into those slides. So thank you for that. People have got questions in the chat. I'm sure people are going to DM you. So catch you out there in the airwaves of the summit. Thank you
I
so much.
love that. Thank you everyone for your time. Have a good day.
Absolutely.
Bye.
Bye.